Hi guys, and welcome to another Hero of the Week. Now this week's hero is Labour MP Chris Bryant. Now Chris has really been on form over the last number of months, and frankly I'd love to see him replace Keir Starmer in the House of Commons. However, here he was on BBC Question Time and he got called out by a Tory Brexiteer. Probably a plant, but we'll never know. Anyway, Chris took no crap and put the Brexiteer back in his box. The audience member tried to suggest that Boris Johnson is a liar, but he also got the big calls right. Enjoy.
One of the problems is it's so binary. It's like a Punch and Judy show, even with what the conversation that's happening now. Chris, you're saying they're liars, he's a liar, and that's it. That's all you're saying. And then there's just a defensive response. But actually, if you talk about this maturely, then, yeah, Boris Johnson's a liar, and I wouldn't defend that. But look at what he has done. And to remind ourselves, let's look at what Parliament was like before he took over, when we're going through the Brexit situation and Parliament was just a laughingstock in a way, the way it could not handle the situation. Now, Boris has led us out of that. He's followed the will of the people in the country, got through that, got us Brexit, he's dealt with COVID, he's introduced a levelling. I live in Bideford in North Devon, and levelling up is extremely important for towns like Bideford. He's introduced that, and there's Ukraine has done well there. So, Chris, why don't you just say that, yes, he's a liar and he should be dealt with, but on the other side of that, he's done some things which are good, and then we can have a more mature conversation.
Okay, briefly.
Now, before we get to Chris's response, what does he got Brexit done mean? He got Brexit over the line mean? I keep hearing this argument, if you want to call it an argument, but it means nothing. Because we're still talking about Brexit. We're still talking about the Northern Ireland Protocol. Brexiteers are complaining about the Northern Ireland Protocol, which is part of the withdrawal agreement, which is part of, or which is another name for Boris Johnson's oven-ready deal. So when Boris Johnson said he got Brexit done, obviously he didn't, because we're still talking about it, and even Brexiteers are complaining about parts of the oven-ready deal.
Because I want to bring in more audience.
Because I don't think he's got the big calls right. Because I don't think he's got the big calls right either. Actually, France, Germany, Italy, Spain, I think Sweden and Singapore have all done a faster vaccination process than we have. Actually, Boris Johnson earlier this year was saying that inflation was not something to be worried about, and look what's happening in the country. Actually, the Prime Minister only last year said that we were not going to see tanks rolling across Europe again, and look what's happened in Ukraine. And for that matter, I am very critical of Boris Johnson, because ever since 2014 and the Conservative Party, they've refused to deal with dodgy Russian money in the British economy, and that has made us vulnerable, and it's emboldened Putin. So I don't think he's done well by Ukraine at all.
Okay.
Well done, well done. Hero of the Week. Now, unfortunately, Chris didn't mention Brexit here, which is the core problem. But yes, Boris Johnson continues to bang on about the vaccine when, yes, at the beginning, the UK was one of the leading countries in the rollout of the vaccine, but that's quickly changed. But they're still presenting it as a win. It was a win for a period of time. But then when you look into the detail of that, it wasn't actually necessary to leave the European Union in order to roll out the vaccine. So it's lies based on lies, based on lies, based on lies. And this idea that, yeah, he lied, but no, his entire career is built on lies. You have to call it out, because everything Boris Johnson, pretty much everything Boris Johnson says is a lie. When he goes to the House of Commons, he lies. When he speaks to journalists, he lies. When he presents a policy, it's based on a lie. 20,000 police officers, a lie. 40 new hospitals, a lie. And it's not just him lying. This has real consequences. It's not just him saying something and then getting away with it. If there are not enough police officers, this has serious consequences on society. If there aren't enough hospitals, this has serious consequences for the NHS. So it's not just a case of, well, he lied and we just have to move on from that, and we just have to, yeah, he's a liar, but he got everything right. No, he hasn't got anything right. Like, the only thing you could say, really, and I'm being honest here, Boris Johnson, more his government, has done a good job in Ukraine. On a military side, not on a humanitarian side, but on a military side, yes, providing the Ukrainian army with the weapons that they need. Well done. Kudos to Boris Johnson and his administration for doing that. And I'm not going to take that away from them. But that's one compared to what have we on the other side? 50, 60 different policies that came to nothing while Boris Johnson has been in power, either as Mayor of London or as Foreign Secretary or as Prime Minister. His entire career is built on lies. When he was a journalist, he was a liar. He was sacked for lying. You know, but as I said, lies have consequences. And well done for Chris for calling this out, but there are some people who seem, perhaps this guy in the audience, but there are people who just see the lie and say, well, they all lie. Yes, politicians lie, but there are consequences to those lies. And Boris Johnson's lies are the consequences are going to ripple far into the future. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think about all of this. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.